Blythe, California is a small desert town on the California-Arizona border located in an agricultural area and part of the western Sonoran Desert along the Colorado River. It is 224 miles east of Los Angeles and 150 miles west of Phoenix. The prison near Blythe was built just a few miles from town and opened in 1990. It was part of a massive expansion that resulted in the greatest prison industrial complex in the world. California went from having 10 state prisons to 35 in just over a decade. Of course, most of those prisons were built in impoverished rural communities, like Blythe. Communities that hated the criminals but loved the good-paying jobs offered by the strongest prison guard union in the country. Fun fact, temperatures in Blythe soar up to 120 degrees. But the prison was built without air conditioning throughout. The administration building had central air, but the inmate areas only had swamp coolers, which proved to be grossly ineffective in an area that repeatedly had sandstorms. The sand would clog up the coolers and render them useless. Elderly prisoners died from heat stroke more than a few times. Author Dan McMullan was born in New York City in 1964. At 9 years old, he began spending half of his time in New York and the other half in California. When he was 21, he lost his leg and broke dozens of bones in an accident. He spent 14 months in the hospital in San Diego and was homeless on and off for years afterwards. Dan became incarcerated in 1990 and was sent to the prison in Blythe. That same year, Leah Jokey was hired to initiate and develop the Arts and Corrections program there. Dan was her first clerk. He participated in acting workshops and starred in the very first play at the prison, Indian Wants the Bronx. Dan also took Jokey's playwriting classes. The class's first project was a book of monologues titled From a Cold, Roach-Infested Cell. Dan's contribution was a series called Tales from My Leg. Thus, the photo of Dan with his prosthetic leg to the side. Fun fact, it was so hot sometimes in Blythe, and Dan would sweat so hard that his leg literally fell off. Dan completed the play Blythe in 1991. It is the first and only play he has ever written. It was a humorous and insightful take on prison and prison towns. He got the idea from a story in the local paper about the new prison guard population's dislike for the town and a bumper sticker going around saying, "Happiness is seeing Blythe in the rearview mirror." He imagined how a person that lived their whole life there might react to the new prison. Initially, Jokey wanted to direct Dan's play at the prison, but the acting prison warden didn't think it was a good idea for the inmates to be participating in a play that made fun of the prison and its staff. Jokey did ask, however, if it could still be submitted to a statewide playwriting competition for incarcerated individuals. The acting warden didn't care what happened to the play outside of the prison. The first, and what turned out to be only Arts and Corrections one-act playwriting competition, had a total of 40 submissions. It had a prestigious panel of judges from the La Jolla Playhouse, NBC, the HBO Larry Sanders Show, and the dramaturg for the Mark Taper Forum, who currently runs the Public Theater in NYC, Oscar Eustis. Blythe won first place. The top 3 plays were scheduled to be given a staged reading with professional actors at the Ivar Theater in Los Angeles. This benefit was sponsored by actors Ed Asner of Mary Tyler Moore fame and Edward James Olmos. The night before the reading, however, Jokey received a call from the acting warden and was ordered to pull the play from the event. Ed Asner cried, "Censorship," and the cancellation of the performance became the subject of a Los Angeles Times article. Go directly to jail. Don't collect $200. Don't write a play. Jokey was supposed to be fired, but her boss in Sacramento flew down to Blythe and reminded the acting warden that he had given signed approval for the play to enter the contest. Jokey's job remained intact, but in a strange twist of fate, the acting warden did not pass final confirmation, most likely due to his perceived lack of support for the arts program. After being released from prison, it took Dan a long time to get disability insurance. He finally got it by holding a protest outside the Social Security/Housing Authority office in Berkeley. After that, he advocated for others and started the Disabled People Outside Project. In 2016, 25 years after his play was banned, Dan attended Jokey's one-woman show, Prison Boxing, and also spoke at an arts and corrections conference in San Francisco. There he met Deborah Tobola, the artistic director of Poetic Justice Project. He asked, "Wouldn't it be poetic justice for the Poetic Justice Project to do my band play?" She agreed and produced it in multiple venues in Northern California, including Alcatraz Island, with Ms. Jokey directing. Today Dan is married, has 2 sons and a granddaughter. He served as Commissioner of Human Welfare for 4 years for the city of Berkeley, California, and more than 20 years as director of the Disabled People Outside Project, where he worked to house the most vulnerable population living on the streets. He served as a writer and editorial board member of the Street Spirit newspaper in the Bay Area and still works as an activist for the Community Law Center. Keep on rolling, Danny.